To SFR, isn't it, Kate?
Yeah, the board of Vivendi, which is the company that owns SFR, is meeting later this Friday to decide which offer it's going to accept. It's being stuck in a sort of a bouygues war of sorts between Bouygues Telecom and the cable company Numericable. Now, each of them have upped their offers. Altice, which is the majority owner of Numericable, has raised its cash offer from 10.9 to 11.7 billion euros. The other suitor, Bouygues, also raising its offer from 10.5 to 11.3 billion. Those higher bids would, of course, leave SFR's current owners with a smaller stake in the company. Now, no matter which offer the board decides to accept, it will drastically reshape the landscape of France's telecoms industry, which is currently run by four major operators. They've been locked in a price war of sorts since the low-cost operator Free entered the market back in 2012.
And another development that could have a big impact for cell phone users. The European Union wants to introduce a universal phone charger.
Yeah, not just for phones, actually, but also for tablets, GPS systems, any kind of electric devices. The European Parliament has approved legislation that would make having a universal charger an essential requirement for any electrical good that's approved for sale in the 28-nation EU. The move would come into effect in about 3 years' time. Commissioners saying it comes in direct response to consumers' concerns and that it would make both environmental and financial sense. I'd certainly be in favour of it anyway.
Okay, in the US, there's been a big development for the oil giant BP, 4 years on after America's worst oil spill ever.
Yeah, the US government has lifted a ban on BP, saying that it's going to be allowed to start competing for government contracts again. That ban was put in place after the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill, which killed 11 people and spewed more than 4 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. America's Environmental Protection Agency had accused BP of lying about the amount of oil that was being leaked. It cited BP's lack of business integrity, both during the spill and in the immediate aftermath, and it had banned it from bidding on federal contracts and from leasing any more offshore oil rigs. Now BP has agreed to a number of ethics and safety requirements, and it's going to be able to start bidding again. BP hailing it as a major step for its operations in America. We're going to turn our attention to the markets now. Asian markets are all down pretty sharply as we end the trading week. Japan's Nikkei plummeting and closing down over 3% there. The yen saw a pretty strong performance today, which makes for a lot of concerns, of course, about Japanese exports. Toyota, Sony, and Toshiba were among the session's hardest hit. This followed on from a negative session on Wall Street on Thursday. U.S. stocks saw their worst declines in about 5 weeks. The Dow closing down for the fourth day in a row, and the Nasdaq shedding about 62 points. The overriding concern this week has been about the ongoing instability in Ukraine, but more importantly about China. A slew of economic data, including retail sales and industrial output, all indicating that the world's second largest economy is slowing down, and that's been weighing the markets down throughout the week.
Oh, it's not slowing down for everybody because Eurotunnel profits have tripled since last year.
Yeah, they were one of the big winners in Thursday's session. For years, that group had been on the verge of bankruptcy. It had been restructured several times. It finally brought in its first profit in 2007, and now the group is optimistic that the page has officially been turned. Delano D'Souza has the details.
It's taken a while, but after 20 years, Eurotunnel has seen its profits triple. The group that manages the undersea tunnel between France and England reported revenues of 1.1 billion euros. In 2013, 10 million passengers went underneath, a 12% increase from the previous year. Eurotunnel finally seems to be picking up its rhythm and bringing in the cash.
The company has clearly been saved. We've normalised and we've given our growth projections for 2015. We're increasing our dividends one more time this year by 25% to compensate our investors.
It's not always been rosy for Eurotunnel. The project was spearheaded by Margaret Thatcher and former French President François Mitterrand in 1986. Building the tunnel took 8 years and costs spiraled to about 3 times more than expected. Early investors in the project lost a part of their money to bring the Eurotunnel to life. The change of fortune for Eurotunnel has one investor upbeat. She initially invested the equivalent of 77,000 euros. Her shares today are worth 4,700. On its 20th anniversary, the group remains optimistic. It set itself an earnings target of 500 million euros for 2015.
All right, well, Kate, thanks very much for keeping us up to date with all the business news. Okay, time for a look at what's grabbing the headlines here in France, starting with the Christian paper Le Croix. It's focusing on the situation in Syria, isn't it, Florence?
That's right. Tomorrow marks a very sad anniversary, and that's the third anniversary of the beginning of the Syrian civil war. So let's take a look at the front page of La Croix here. It says that Syrians have been broyés. That's a very strong word in French. It means that they